Welcome to another episode of Virtual City Hall School. I'm so lucky to have ETS as my partner at City Hall. The students come to City Hall every day on a charter bus. They also explore the LRT and they learn the value of public transportation. Edmonton Transit connects people, jobs, and communities. Now, during this time of isolation, you're probably not using Edmonton Transit very much, but that's not going to stop us from virtually learning. I'd like to introduce ETS instructor Lisa Andrews.
Hi there.
Thanks for joining us. And I'm going to turn the interview over to our ward reporter, Sonora.
So the first question is, how long have you worked for ETS and jobs you have had there?
I have worked for ETS. This July will be 15 years. My current role right now is a relief instructor, but with the circumstances right now, I'm back to being a transit operator.
Okay.
So I'm driving the bus right now.
So the other question is, I found out that your mom worked for ETS as well. Can you tell us about Kathleen Andrews?
Sure. My mom started as an information clerk with ETS back in 1973. And in 1975, they relaxed the height and strength requirements that they had to be a bus driver. So she applied and she became the very first female city transit operator. And then she also, after 3 years, she became the first female city dispatcher. And then after that, she became the first female in a management role position. And just this past February 9th, a new division named the Kathleen Andrews Garage opened up. And it's a new $210 million transit garage for all the buses.
Nice. So what is the most rewarding part of your work?
I think the most rewarding part of my work is meeting people from different cultures every single day. And the most important thing to me is that I'm helping them out. As an operator, I'm helping people get to school in time, get to work on time and safely. When I'm doing the role, as a transit instructor, I'm actually changing people's lives and their careers so that they can be a transit operator and that, and that they can, have a secure job that they can rely on and which also in turn helps their families, so that they can pay the bills and put food on the table. And so it changes their lives as well. So I love helping people. That's the most rewarding part of my job.
Yeah. And what is the biggest challenge?
Being a winter city and driving, that's the biggest challenge. It's really cold, and when we have really, really bad road conditions, it's still trying to get people to school and to work and to their medical appointments on time, but the road conditions can be quite challenging. And also the temperature. You worry about your passengers, especially if they're regulars and it's minus 20 below out there. You're trying to get to them on time so that, they don't get too cold waiting for you. So that's the biggest challenge, especially with your regular customers.
Yeah. So at City Hall School, we learned about the buses and the LRT. Can you tell us about DATS?
Sure. I'm actually a DATS instructor as well. DATS actually helps people who can't take regular transit due to either cognitive or physical disabilities. So they help those people that can't take regular transit. The drivers of those vehicles actually have a more demanding role than a transit operator. They actually have to pick the person up, and if they have mobility issues, they have to load them up onto a ramp. And then they have, let's say, a wheelchair. They have to bring them into the DATS vehicle. And then they have to restrain the wheelchair so that it doesn't move, of course, while they're in transportation. And these operators are quite amazing because they can go to the house, pick the person up, do the ramp, and, constrain the wheelchair all within like 5 or 6 minutes. So they're quite fast.
Yeah. What is something that most Edmontonians do not know about ETS?
You know, I'm going to go back to the time when my mom was driving. A lot of people don't know about ETSs, that you would wave to a driver to let them know you were okay. Because back in those days, there were no radios. So, as a transit operator back in 1975, excuse me, you had to carry a dime in your pocket, because if you had any problems on the road, you would actually have to find a phone booth to phone control to let them know that you're having problems either with the bus or, maybe a problem passenger. There were no radios. The other thing that was interesting was that there were no bathrooms, except at a few transit centers, but there were no Tim Hortons or anything that was open 24 hours. So private citizens would actually have the light on, out their outside front door light and porch light, and drivers would know that they could go to their place late at night and use their private bathroom.
Wow. And then the other question is, we're all relying on a lot of technology to learn these days. How does ETS use technology?
Um, we've come a long way from having the dime in our pocket. Now, ETS actually has an MDT, which is a mobile data terminal, and it's almost like your Apple tablet. We can now talk to control through this tablet electronically on the bus. The buses now have GPS, so they know where you are at all times. They even have live look-in cameras, so that if you have a problem, even control can turn on these cameras and see what's going on in your bus. And that goes the same with LRT as well. So now it's gone quite a ways from having the dime in the pocket to now all these cameras and MDTs, and you can have instant contact with control or with your dispatch.
And for the last question, it is, during this time of isolation, what brings you joy?
Well, what brings me the most joy is, well, besides that, I have 4 kitties at home. I really, really like I own a Can-Am Spyder, and it's a motorcycle with 3 wheels and 2 wheels at the front. And I named her Chula, which is short for Tarantula. And I actually have a picture of her, so I'll show you the picture. And so I really like driving her around, and the kids love it because they think it came out of some kind of a Batman movie.
That's pretty amazing. Well, thank you so much for the interview. I loved hearing about how ETS has changed over the years. And students that are watching, I wonder when the last time is that you used ETS. Maybe you went to West Edmonton Mall or Rogers Place or the Royal Alberta Museum. Maybe you went to school on it. I wonder how you're going to use ETS as you get older and as you become an adult. Public transportation is so important in our city. So the next time you get on a bus, I'd like you to look at the driver and stop and think about Lisa and think about her mom, and make sure that you greet and thank the driver. We sure do appreciate all the drivers that work with ETS. Thank you for time for the interview, Lisa. Bye, Lisa.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me. Bye.